Day 29. We're doing something a little bit different today. It's not going to be chest and shoulders because if you remember, the last video was just chest, meaning today is just going to be shoulders. So I split them up because yesterday, or the chest day, I trained with someone else who follows a different training plan, which includes chest and shoulders on their own. So I'm doing shoulders on its own today, which means I'm going to hit them way harder than I usually do. So starting off with rear delts, you might be wondering why I'm doing rear delts because I never do rear delts with shoulders. I usually do with back. Well, that's because the chest and shoulder day is already really stacked, so I don't want to put rear delts on top of it. But since I'm not doing chest and shoulders together, there is enough time and energy to do rear delts. And I do it first because it's probably the most important head to develop. It's probably the least developed in most people, and it's probably the most neglected as well. And it also has like a ridiculous pump, gets blood into all of the shoulder joint without really damaging the joint itself, which the lateral head and the anterior head can't really do as well. So 3 sets of this cable unilateral rear delt fly thing. I like this more than doing it to the side because you're actually going against gravity when you're moving your arm in that way. I don't know, it just feels better for me personally. The squeeze feels a lot better too, so I do it this way instead of to the side. You can do it to the side. It still does go against gravity, obviously, because it's a cable stack, so like the pulleys and stuff adjust the movement, the displacement of the weight. Before this turns into a physics lesson, let's get into the next rear delt exercise, which is just simply going to be the dumbbell rear delt fly. It's a simple exercise that works really effectively. I've been trying to do things other than a reverse pec deck for rear delts, and this dumbbell exercise definitely works really well. Highly, highly recommended because you just get a ridiculous squeeze. You can load up pretty heavy dumbbells. Like I'm using 40s here, whereas for lateral raises, I use like 30 or 35. So it is pretty heavy. And it just feels great. You can see my form isn't like optimal by any means. Like, you know how I feel about optimal lifters. I'm not too concerned about the form being on. I'm just concerned about getting a pump and actually feeling the muscle working, which for me doesn't require perfect form. So this goes down. Very good rear delt activation for both exercises. Now we move on to the second most important part of the delt. It's debatable. It might actually be the first, but we did rear delts first. So the lateral head is about to get absolutely abused here by doing a bunch of lateral raises. So here, kind of just spamming them, going to town with lateral raises. Got 35-pound dumbbells. It's pretty heavy for me, but it's doable. So here I am. I'm swinging a little bit, as you can see, but that little bit of swing goes a long way, allows me to lift more weight and put a lot more tension on the side delt. 4 sets of lateral raises with dumbbells. On the last set, what I do is I go a little bit lighter and just really try and focus on the squeeze instead of just moving the weight. Few sets, it's good to do that, but a few sets, it's also good to just go heavy and throw the weight around. So that's it for lateral raises. Actually, I'm joking. After this posing video, which actually looked pretty good compared to my other posing videos, so I turned the exposure like pretty low, we do more lateral raises, this time with a machine instead of free weights. So this machine is pretty decent. It's not the best, but it's kind of the only other alternative for rear delts, or side delts rather, my bad. I put it pretty heavy. I think it's on like 140, so it's pretty close to the full stack. And it feels great on my side delt, only really if I do a drop set. So without the drop set, I don't feel it too much. And you can say, oh, it's because your form is bad, but it's not the case with the dumbbells. So it's probably just the way the machine is built or the way I'm doing it for some reason. But with the drop sets, it does feel crazy good. If you don't feel something and you do a drop set, 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel it. So especially if you're like a newbie lifter and you can't feel your back, try doing some drop sets with like lat pull downs and stuff, and you're going to feel your back a lot more. 3 more sets of lateral raises on the machine, and that's it. So 7 total sets of laterals, 7 total sets of rear, and we move on to fronts. Now, I don't do 7 sets of front because I taxed them like crazy last chest day. And if you remember on the chest day, we did a similar exercise, but for chest, which was like the incline cable press. Here I'm doing just an incline shoulder press. Now, why am I doing it with the cable instead of the dumbbell? Good question. I feel like it's more stable. I feel like it's just better for me. It doesn't hurt my shoulder as much. So I'm doing it with the cable instead. The only downside with this exercise is that it scratches the side of my forearm, which isn't too bad because it wasn't like anything deep. But the squeeze is crazy because you get to bring the arms together more, which allows for a better squeeze in the anterior delt, which is huge in getting its activation going, because for most people, they can't really feel the anterior delt by itself. That's the goal with this movement though. And all it takes there is 4 sets. Now, that is it for when I recorded for the workout, but it's not actually it for the workout itself. I did end up doing traps at the end, and I did calves as well. I just didn't record both of them, but traps, I just grabbed the 100-pound dumbbells and started doing random shrugs. Didn't concern myself with how I was doing it because I felt it really well. Haven't trained traps in a very long time, but doing shoulders by itself allowed me to do that. It's a very simple shoulder day. We did 7 rear delts, 7 side delts, and 4 front delts with some trap and calves. Honestly, shoulders are a muscle group that look small and are small, but you can hit them so hard and they will not get fatigued that much. It's really because you can't get the full stretch on that part of the muscle unless you're doing with like cables or something, which I'm doing here. I mean more so for like lateral and rear delt raises. It's hard to get a full stretch at the bottom of each movement. It is doable, it's just pretty hard. So that's kind of why delts can take a lot more attention than other muscles of its same size, like the arms. But regardless, that's it for the deltoid destruction workout. If I sounded tired in this video, it's because I trained legs today, and you'll see in the leg video tomorrow, I was so dead from that leg. It was a crazy leg day. I'm exhausted. I don't even want to talk, but I'm recording this video because you got to do whatever it takes. So hope you liked it and hope you learned something. I'll see you in tomorrow's video.